Hello, my name is Nathan Taylor, otherwise known as Sockmatician, and this is a video to accompany the Sockmatician's double knitted brioche ebook. This particular video demonstrates how to work yarn overs in double knitted brioche. Now, yarn overs are obviously an increase, and what we're doing with yarn overs is we are increasing our stitch count by one pair of stitches, because of course double knitted brioche is a form of double knitting, so everything is done in pairs. Unlike the branch increase, which we looked at in a previous video, where a column of knit stitches branches off and splits into two, this is the first of three types of floating increase that I'll be demonstrating in this series. A floating increase, so called because it creates a whole new column of knit stitches and a whole new column of purl stitches in between stitches on either side, columns of stitches on either side. So the new column floats in between, hence the name. So here we are in the position where we want to create our first floating column, our first floating pair of columns, and because I'm working in double knitted brioche, my starting position is with the knit coloured yarn at the back of the work and my pearl coloured yarn at the front of the work. So in order to work these yarn overs, it's nice and simple. We bring the knit coloured yarn to the front of the work, coming between the two needles, and then take it to the back of the work again. That's one full yarn over, and then you bring it once more to the front of the work, coming between the two needles. So that's a full yarn over and a half. The next thing to do is with the pearl coloured yarn, you take that over the top of the right needle to the back of the work, and then bring it to the front of the work. And then we're going to take the knit coloured yarn to the back of the work, going between the two needles this time. So that's undoing that half yarn over, if you like. So we've done one full yarn over separately with the brown yarn there, our knit coloured yarn, and we've got another yarn over there. There's the two yarn overs there with our pearl coloured yarn. Now these are quite unstable. They are literally just wraps of yarn around the needle. So I'm going to work a pair of double knitted brioche stitches immediately after working the yarn over to lock those in place. And can you see here, this is one column of knit stitches, and here's another column of knit stitches, and in between those I've got these, that's the pearl stitch from the back, and I've got these two brand new loops of yarn sitting there separately. Now I'm going to show you that one more time. So starting with my knit coloured yarn at the back of the work and my pearl coloured yarn in front of the work, bring the knit coloured yarn to the front between the two needles, to the back over the top of the right needle, and to the front again. Then I take the pearl coloured yarn to the back of the work, going over the top of the right needle, to the front, coming between the two needles, and I take the knit coloured yarn to the back, going between the two needles again there, and then quickly as possible work a pair of double knitted brioche stitches to lock them in place, and take the yarn to the back. There we go. So what does that look like when you come back to those yarn overs on the other side of the work? I'm just going to race along to the edge here, work the slip stitch edge, turn my work. Here I am then just one pair of stitches away from where I worked the yarn overs. Here I've got one complete pair, complete with the yarn overs, and here the single strands of those yarn overs. Working into those yarn overs is a little bit different because they are only single strand stitches. They don't have yarn overs yet. So of course I've got my knit coloured yarn at the back. This time it's blue because I have turned the work over, and my pearl coloured yarn, the brown, is in front of the work. I'm going to work that last pair of double knitted brioche stitches leading up to my yarn overs, and then you can have a little look at what's going on. So here we are. Here are the two single strand stitches of the yarn overs. Now can you see the brown one is wrapped twice around the needle? That's deliberate, and each of these wraps needs to be taken into account separately. The first wrap here, where the needle is inside at the moment, that's the second yarn over of the pair, and the second wrap is the yarn over that sits around the shoulders of the following knit stitch. So it's important when we come to working that second yarn over that we don't let both of the yarn overs slip off the needle. And this is what it looks like in practice. First of all, I'm going to knit into the knit coloured yarn over there, like that. Yarn over, yarn forward, and then I'm going to purl into the brown coloured yarn over, slipping just that one off the needle like so, maintaining that yarn over the following knit stitch. Then I'm going to take my knit coloured yarn to the back of the work as normal. Then I can just work an ordinary pair of double knitted stitches into the next actual pair of stitches, like so. Let me show you that again, because I've got another pair of yarn overs just here. Again, I've got the blue one there, followed by the brown one, which wraps twice around the needle. So I'm going to knit the blue one with the blue yarn, yarn over, yarn forward, purl with the brown, but only let one of the wraps drop off there. Take the knit coloured yarn to the back of the work, and then I can work into the second of those wraps with its knit stitch there in the following pair. And what that's done is it's made a bit of a hole. Obviously yarn overs are decorative, there's a bit of a hole there. You won't really see that until a couple of rows later on, but it's a decorative floating increase, creating a little hole there. You'll always see one strand of yarn cutting across the middle of that hole. That's exactly as normal. That's just how the yarns interact with each other as you go through. But you can see there it does make quite a pronounced hole in the knitting, and there's another one just there as well, again with that strand popping across the center line there. And turning it over, as you'd imagine, looks very similar on the back. And that is how to work yarn overs in double knitted brioche. One thing to mention at this stage though, if you're working these yarn overs in the round, when you come back to the yarn overs on the following round, you'll find that double wrap at the beginning of the pair, not at the end of the pair. So the double wrap is the yarn over that's over the last purl stitch like that, and then it's the wrap of the next yarn over that you'll knit into. So again, it's important to treat those two wraps separately, working into each one in turn. And that is all you need to know about yarn overs in double knitted brioche. Zip!